Hello readers, here to talk to you today about The Stepford Wives. This is my buddy read for February. I read it with Hilary over at Melted Books. I think we both really enjoyed this. I actually first tried to read What do you want? I first tried to read The Stepford Wives back in, high school, and did not like it. I think at the time it was the writing that was getting to me, I just was not into it. So I just kind of gave up for a bit. Ended up watching the movie. Actually, this would be back in college. No. I remember trying to read the book in high school and watching the movie in college, and it was the 70s version, or 80s. I want to say the movie was made in the 70s, and it creeped me out. I was so uncomfortable. If you don't know what The Stepford Wives is, it's about Joanna and Walter and their family who have just moved to the town of Stepford. Joanna is very much a feminist. She wants to have a chapter of NOW, which is National Organization for Women, I think. It's been a little bit since I took my feminist class, and I don't know that we have a NOW chapter in Billings. Anyways, she wants to start all of these feminist clubs or women's clubs. She wants to join women's clubs, and there aren't any women's clubs or any gatherings for women outside of, I think there was a knitting group or something in the whole town of Stepford, but there is the men's association. This drives her nuts. So Walter says he's going to join the men's organization, men's association, go once or twice a week and try and get the men to be a little more open-minded and allow women to join or help open up more gatherings for women around the town of Stepford. Joanna also notices something really weird about the women of Stepford. They're all very much stereotypical housewives, very into cleaning. They don't have time to really hang out with people. They don't want to start any clubs of any sort. They're just completely concerned with their husband's happiness and their house cleaning. And it's weird that everyone is this into house cleaning. And you're going along with Joanna as she is trying to solve the mystery of Stepford. Like I said, the 70s version of the movie, it hit the nail on the head. It creeped me out. The Nicole Kidman version of the movie I saw later on. I'm telling you right now, the movie is wrong. The ending is completely wrong. That is not how the book goes. However, I did like that movie better solely because it made me more comfortable with the story of the Stepford Wives. It was easier for me to handle the Nicole Kidman ending because it just made me comfortable. Everything was okay at the end of that movie. And that's not necessarily how it goes in the novella. The story this time around creeped me out just as much as the movie did whenever I watched it. But that's kind of the point. I was really uncomfortable with the story, but it's okay that I was uncomfortable. That's what Ira Levin was trying to do. Also, the great thing about buddy reading this with Hilary was that she was the first one to really start talking about the symbolism, and that got me thinking, we're reading this a little slower than I usually would because I'm letting Hilary set the pace for it, and I know she had a lot going on. But that was to my benefit. I'm she's noticing this and this and this. I should really pay more attention to symbolism. Because I know the idea of symbolism, I get it, but I don't tend to notice symbolism. I don't know if it's because I'm just in it for the story, or if it's the things that I pay attention to. I don't know, but I'm not generally that great at noticing symbolism. So it's okay. Go down through the page, what's going on here? What are we talking about? And I started to notice all of the creepy little things that Ira Levin adds throughout this book for the symbolism. One of the more obvious ones for me was the sex suit. There's this rubber suit that one of the husbands buys for his wife that he really wants her to wear during sex. And the wife is totally creeped out by it, doesn't want anything to do with it. She actually comes across to me as an asexual character. I don't know if that was supposed to be more of the stereotype that women don't want to have sex or what. Like, I don't really know who Ira Levin was as a person. He seems pretty awesome so far. But to me, that was really a lot about control, which the whole book really is about controlling the wives. But BDSM in itself is especially about having control either over yourself or over another person. So that, anyways, that really, really stood out to me. There's also this point in the book whenever Walter is getting the kids down with a movie so that he and Joanna can hang out a little bit. And this is like a little thing, but he comes up to Joanna and he's like, hey, we're in luck. There's a creature feature on tonight. The kids are super into it. And I'm thinking, creature feature. I see you, Ira Levin. I see you. I'll go ahead and talk about the ending a little bit since this is a spoiler review. Anyways, but what ends up happening is that there's a former Disney employee who worked on the presidential robots who is now living in the town of Stepford. And as Joanna's going back through the newspapers at the library or magazines or something, I think they were newspapers, she notices that like he was the first one of the important men's association members to come to Stepford. And his wife was one of the first ones to bow out of the women's club that eventually ended up disbanding. And what he's doing, or what I kind of assume he's doing, is they're killing the wives and replacing them with robots. So he spends some time with the wives, more just like hanging out with the husbands. You have a famous artist who hangs out with them and who, during meetings with the family that has moved to Stepford, he will draw the wife and it's just like, oh, I'm practicing my sketches. Here's a sketch of you. Here, take one. But he's studying them like you would character design so that he can help add to a realistic robot. There's also a bunch of other guys there, like chemists and technologists and stuff, and they're all working together to create these robots to replace the wives so that they're completely dedicated to the husbands, completely dedicated to the housework. And you can see it starting really early on with Walter. Like after the first, I think second meeting is when I really started to notice him going downhill. He has less interest in Joanna sexually, or he seems to enjoy it a little less as they go on. And something else that Joanna notices with the other wives, who she doesn't realize yet are robots, is that their breasts are a little bit larger. They're wearing their girdles and stuff, and they've changed a little bit physically, especially with her close friend Bobby. Whenever Bobby ends up making the change, you can see some of that physical difference. Like, they're becoming more Playboy model than their original selves. But there was this guy who came over and he was working on this project and needed people to record their voices. So she starts reading through a dictionary of words. And that is him gathering the words so that they'll have the realistic voices for the robots. And this whole thing, this whole setup, like, I can't help but wonder what is happening in the building when a new family comes to town. How are they convincing the husbands to do this? Because with Joanna being such a staunch feminist, her husband is also supposedly on the side of feminism. Like, at the beginning of the novel, he's like, yeah, I'll help you start the women's group and everything. But the book goes on and you see Walter's turned to the other side, and it's like, what do they say to the husbands? What do they show the husbands to convince them to do this to their wives? There's this one scene where Walter's a little bit disgruntled that he has to take care of the kids instead of watching football. And I'm like, football? You are killing your wife and replacing her with a robot because you missed a football game? Not that I'm super into sports, so I wouldn't understand, but still, dude, come on. Like, you'll never have an interesting conversation with your wife ever again. Like, there are certain things about being with real people that you're just going to miss out on. There is a certain intimacy there that you won't experience again because your wife is a robot. Literally brainless. Oh, this book creeps me out, and this is basically just gonna be a whole review of me saying it creeps me out. Ira Levin, you're a genius. Which also I forgot to talk about the beginning. So I wasn't super into this book whenever I first tried reading it. Something about the writing style wasn't for me, which now the writing style's fine. I don't know what it was that bothered me. But how I got back around to reading it again was that I wanted to try reading Rosemary's Baby back in October, and I loved that. And it had been a while since I'd tried Ira Levin, like since late high school, early college. So it's like, oh, I'll just try Stepford Wives again. And I ended up accidentally ordering 2 copies. So I'm like, hey, Hilary, have you read this yet? Do you want a copy? Cool. So sent that off to her. We ended up buddy reading it. I loved buddy reading it because she helped me pay attention to the symbolism. And it's just a really awesome book to talk about, and it's a quick read. It's like 180 pages. Ira Levin has basically taken like some of the major fears of feminists, the major fears of women, and made them into a story. Like, we don't want to be ruled by our husbands anymore. Like, it's taking this idea of the patriarchy and making it literal. Men literally have all of the control over women. They literally rule everything because the women don't exist anymore. Not just figuratively don't exist like we don't matter, but we literally don't exist. We've been killed and replaced with robots, and that's creepy. And he's such a genius to have made this fairly simple concept just out of this fear. And it's so good. One thing that I am curious about is the kids. Like, in any age, in any time in our world, kids have rebelled. That's what you do as a teenager, is you rebel against your parents. And I'm thinking, what happens whenever the kids go through their rebellious phase as teenagers? Like, at what age will the boys join the men's association? Will the boys join the men's association? What about the girls? Is there an age limit as far as killing them and turning them into robots? Do you want to wait until they're in their 20s and, like, they're done developing in every way and you can make an as accurate a model as possible? Do you want them to be, like, 16 forever, which adds a whole other level of creepiness? The girls are being taught to be housewives now that their moms are robots, but what if they want something else? Do the kids move away from Stepford? Do they go to college? What happens to the children of Stepford? But also, I like that it kind of adds the mystery to it and that it's not longer. Like, he took this simple concept and he kept it simple. He kept it short. We don't have to know all of the answers. Like, not knowing all of the answers just kind of adds to the creepy scariness, you know? I love this book, but I hate this book. I love what Ira Levin did. I love what the story says and teaches, but I hate it because it's just so creepy and uncomfortable. Ugh. I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say, but I hope you've enjoyed this review anyways. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. All terrible comments will, of course, be deleted, because ain't nobody got time for that. I post every Wednesday, Sunday. I will see you in the next video if you like and subscribe and ring the notification bell so you know I posted. Thanks, friends. Bye.